Before I click play, I need you to know that we're going to go through some very dark conspiracies and some very disturbing videos. With that being said, let's get into it.
Goes viral on Al Gore's internet that is so impressive and so inspiring, such a spectacle that it gets my wheels turning to come up with ideas. This is one of them. This is one of those videos. Here we have a woman handcuffed in the back of a police truck, escaping through a crack in the back window while the police were searching her pickup truck.
How do you do that?
So childless, look.
How are you doing that?
They don't even see. They don't even see. They gonna kill her. They gonna be. Look, 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 look. Look, look, look. Y'all seen it live. This is live. Oh my God.
This video had my jaw on the floor from every which angle. The mentality to have the balls to try to escape from a cop car when they just arrested you and they're like 20 feet away. The physical prowess to be able to squeeze through a crack in a window, get your whole body out, get your legs out while you're handcuffed. The way she maneuvers and then lands on her feet like a cat and then just scatters away. Like, this feels like this is the 40th time she's done this. Like, I imagine when those cops came back in the picture and looked at the back of the car, they're like, fuck, Tammy's gone again. She did it again, Jim. The sheer physics of it all. How did she not break the window? How did she not fall down? How did she do this? She's like goddamn Spider-Man. And so I'm inspired. I think this was so entertaining and had me thinking, like, can other people do this? Are there other people who are better than her at this? We need a white trash Olympics. We need a white trash competition, and one of the events will be escaping from the back of a cop car while you're handcuffed through a crack in a window. And let me tell you something, this bitch is going to be on top of the podium getting the gold medal. Everybody else is playing for second. Maybe once White Trash Olympics starts to roll and the competition really starts to come in, then we'll see someone better at climbing out of the back of a cop car while you're handcuffed through a crack in a window. But for right now, she's like the Ronda Rousey. Like, there's just not that much competition. She's the only one we've seen do it. She's the GOAT. But I promise you, you go from sea to shining sea, you'll find a lot of people in this country that can compete in the White Olympics trying to escape from the back of the cop car.
You ever think you're being scammed? Remember the 3-finger test. This guy, I think his name was Jim, was very certain he was being scammed. And Jim is not the guy you see on screen. He's the one talking to this man. And it started as one of those like scammy emails, calls saying that like he has like this great thing for him to participate in. All he has to do is like give him a few $100s. He was going to make a ton of money. So Jim played along. It was like, look, if you're real, let's do a quick FaceTime. And to his surprise, this guy agreed. Then this was the face he got, which very much looks like a deep fake. He asked him to show him some of the stuff framed. He pulls down one of the frames without looking away from the camera, shows him a framed image with someone named Daniel, which was not this guy's name. And he was like, oh, Daniel's our director. We have a lot of directors, and like points to the other framed stuff. One looks to be like a framed blank page. So Jim knows about the 3-finger test, and he was like, hey, so can you put 3 fingers in front of your face for me if you're not a deep fake? A deep fake is a real person, but then they use your key facial features to then make you look like you're a different person, different gender, different ethnicity. That is 100% what he thinks he is dealing with here. Every time he asks to do the 3-finger test, put 3 fingers in front of your face because it will glitch the deep fake because it can't see all of your key facial structures to line it up properly. Does this, 2 fingers over his chest, then does 3 fingers, but again, different hands still over his chest. Then he does this.
Well, I don't think it is. If I'm making sure you're not AI, I think that's a reasonable thing to ask. Can you hold up 3 fingers in front of your face?
Well, I think that, is that enough?
No, it's not in front of your face.
I'm not AI.
He's really doing his best here.
That's too much, don't you think?
Yes, it is. Because, you know, if you were real, you would put up 3 fingers in front of your face, yeah.
Not only does the very obvious scammer refuse to do the very simple task that anyone with 3 fingers could do, which he very clearly has, this scammer then tries to act like that's too much for him to ask. And when this potential victim doesn't back down on the 3-finger test, this scammer ends the conversation.
They've tried so hard to convince us that nuclear energy is the enemy because of Chernobyl. But Amazon, Google, and Microsoft are all buying their own nuclear reactors to power their Bitcoin mining and AI. Essentially, they're splitting atoms to heat up water that creates a steam that spins a giant fan that generates electricity. So, can I do that? I would like to be a part of this. Not a part of yours. I just think that that sounds like free energy, if not discounted energy. Anyways, this is my driver. Let me know if anyone wants to go in on a nuclear reactor with me. I tried to build a particle accelerator a few years ago, and I realized I can't do this without nuclear fusion. Sucks. And I didn't want to blow up the house.
Israel has just and continues to carry out a horrific massacre of Lebanon. This is historically evil. Over 150 bombs fell across everywhere in Lebanon, and hospitals are now begging for blood donations as the casualty numbers reach the thousands. These are some of the hardest strikes on Lebanon and Beirut in years. And it was 99% civilian strikes. 99% of the casualties are civilian. France, Spain, Egypt, and Pakistan have already confirmed Lebanon was a part of the ceasefire. They even bombed a funeral. This is the real video in Becca. Israel claims they were targeting Hezbollah. We know that was false. And they released this video showing that Hezbollah has allegedly moved to more populated areas of Beirut with this image. This is just false. So now they're giving their own justification for why they have to bomb civilian areas with women, children, and the elderly, which what they did today. The strikes are continuing right now on TV. Hundreds are dead. Tens of thousands are injured. The international community is in shock. World leaders are in genuine shock right now, calling Pakistan, asking, they're a part of the ceasefire, right? And Pakistan has confirmed, yes, they are, as of this morning. Israel says this is going to continue. Iran says if this continues more than a few hours, the ceasefire is completely off and they're going to come to the help of Lebanon. This is a horrific massacre.
Okay, hold on a second. I just saw a bunch of posts about how the image of Earth that NASA gave us, if you mirror it down the middle, it looks like Baphomet with this goat head. So I did it myself, and I guess I mirrored the other side that other people were mirroring. But look what I got when I mirrored it, man. That looks even more Baphomet-y than the original that I saw. Now, we know that NASA released 2 images of the Earth, 12 hours apart, where the clouds were in the exact same spot. Did everyone see that? We also know that this obviously is not Earth. I'm telling you, man, if you thought the files that got released were crazy, if you thought fluoride and GMOs and all these psyops and conspiracies were crazy, wait until you find out about the true nature of our reality, because it is literally mind-blowing. Why would they fake the moon landing? Well, for a lot of reasons, actually. So this is the original that I saw from Holistic Health Nut, and took me 15 minutes to figure out how to mirror this image. But this is what I got, and you got the 2 eyes, the goat horns, and the beard or the long face. I bet you there's a ton of images that have been released to the public of certain things that if we mirror them, have Baphomet or other stuff in it. Like the one I'm not going to share here, but the King Charles portrait, that one's fact checked now, so you can't even post that. Anyway, clearly they want you in a lowered state of consciousness and to be all spun up around the axle about what's going on today, namely with the fact they're putting strange chemicals in the air, definitely, and food and water supply. Well, if you think it's important to be detoxing and boosting your system naturally and decalcifying your pineal gland, right now Chalk is giving away free $100 bags of the organic heirloom cacao from Bolivia, the chocolate powder, which is super detoxifying and delicious. Plus, it boosts stem cell production. And if you combine that with the hot water purified Shilajit, you're getting some of the most powerful adaptogens in the natural world. Comment the word free below and check your DMs for details.
Bro's hustling. I can't skip that part,
Young men in Germany now need permission from the military before traveling abroad. Yeah, now this has become a huge political scandal because this law, which was passed months ago, was largely missed by both Parliament and the media. But now, it's already law. So for context, on the 1st of January this year, Germany's new Military Service Act came into effect. However, it took a local newspaper to surface a provision which almost everyone missed. Because according to Section 3 of the Revised Conscription Act, all men over 17 years old and under 45 who wish to leave Germany for more than 3 months must obtain permission from the German Armed Forces, even in peacetime. Now that, in theory, affects millions of German men, because it doesn't matter if it's for an extended holiday, to study or work abroad, or even a gap year, you still need to notify and get permission. In fact, the German Ministry of Defense have since confirmed that this understanding of that law is correct, and its purpose is to know the whereabouts of potential conscripts if there's ever an emergency. Now, since saying this, they have tried to soften the way that this law would work in practice, saying that permissions to leave the country should generally be treated as granted, while military service remains voluntary. But this has still triggered major public backlash for two main reasons. The first is how wide-reaching this is, but the second is that many people are asking, why didn't the media pick up on this before it became law? And also pointing out that even some politicians seemed unaware of this provision, and they were the ones who were supposed to read it and pass it into law. So in response to all of this anger, the German military are now saying that they are, quote, currently developing detailed provisions to allow exemptions from the approval requirements.
Israel has bought Google and YouTube algorithms. And if you watch anything political or religious, you are being targeted through a contract with the government. These two companies have signed a deal with the Israeli government, which alters search results on those who look up religious or political answers. And all of these are in favor of Israel. And on YouTube, they're actually removing posts that criticize Israel. Over 700 videos so far. And this deal revolves around religious questions related to Christianity and Judaism, to which Israel has bought ads on Google that will suggest answers that is pro-Israel, and as well as the contract with YouTube that will again change search results from what you put in. Let's say you ask a question about Gaza. You're going to be promoted videos that the Israeli government wants you to see through their $1 million advertisement deal that will see pro-Israeli videos replace those of what you've been watching. Disguised, as I said, like an ad campaign, it's simply going to be replacing the videos that you've been searching for. The worst part is we don't know how long this contract is or when it goes into effect. Follow for more. The U.S. government is pressuring social media apps to change their algorithm to suppress anti-Israel content. This is Rabbi Kaploon, the first ever ambassador to combating anti-Semitism in the U.S. government. And he has just directed social media platforms to utilize their algorithms to suppress hatred towards Israel and use AI to label those who unfairly criticize the Israeli government. By the way, he was not born in the United States of America, but is telling us what we're supposed to say online. This is affecting mainly TikTok, but also Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and X. This will be taking place in January 2026, the same January in which everyone who wants to enter the US must give 5 years of their social media history to be reviewed for anti-Semitism. Also a part of this program is the AI integration that is going to be labeling users who are criticizing the Israeli government. As of now, we don't know what that means. Free speech in America is under attack with people who aren't even born here telling us what we're supposed to think.
That's wild. That is wild.
A total of 3 U.S. Air Force F-15s have now been shot down in Kuwait. This video that just surfaced shows the actual moment one of the F-15Es gets shot down. It immediately spirals out of control and enters a flat spin. And here's one of the 3 F-15s falling to the ground, engulfed in a ball of fire. All 3 of these shootdowns are being attributed to friendly fire, and thankfully all 6 crew members, the 3 Wizzos, and the 3 pilots ejected safely.
Have you seen this latest footagers of the moon from the Artemis 2 mission? They noticed some movement, and so they zoomed in on the camera and look at this crater hole. There's an objector that comes out of it. Well, NASA's now saying, oh, this was just a smudge on the camera, but you can literally see the shadow. And so I'm curious what you think it is. I reached out to my cousin who works at PetSmart in the fish section, and she said, look at that movement. She said, look, there are asteroid edges that hit the moon's surface, but they don't usually come outside of the moon. And so
what does someone working at PetSmart in the fish aisle have to do with anything in the outer space?
To me, it seems like it's a UFO, but it just seems almost unbelievable. But I'm curious what you think.
He's entertaining.
The enemy really does come from within. Ashley Banfield, who is a well-seasoned, well-respected journalist, claims that a man named Thomas O'Sione is the #1 suspect in Nancy Guthrie's abduction. Who is Thomas O'Sione, you ask? Nancy Guthrie's son-in-law. Yep, he is married to Savannah Guthrie's older sister, Annie. Annie and Thomas were the last 2 people to be seen with Nancy when they dropped her off at her house at 9:45 on Saturday night. Banfield claims that her source says not only is 50-year-old Sione the prime suspect, police have towed Annie's car in for forensic testing as they believe it's linked to the abduction and is suspected to have been seen near Nancy's home in the middle of the night. Multiple cameras connected to the home were smashed in, and the back door was left wide open, which is interesting considering blood was found at the front door and inside the residence. The other major update to this story is that yesterday afternoon, TMZ reported receiving a ransom note. They turned the email over to police, but it was said to have demanded money in exchange for Nancy's safety or else. And reportedly, it listed some type of inside information that only someone present during the crime would know to be true.
If you use Google, Israel could have access to your data. Israel has implemented a backdoor winking mechanism into Google to force the company to hand over Americans' data. Google is using this information to identify Christians in America, to which they will then use YouTube to target pro-Israeli videos on their feed. And just like Israel buying ChatGPT answers, the US government has approved of this as well, allowing the Israeli government to identify you and then targeting ads at you to try to make you more pro-Israel. By the way, they've also struck this same deal with Amazon because Amazon is home to one of the biggest web services in the world. But more specifically, Israel is targeting Christians in America to promote Israeli history in Christianity, to convince Americans biblical Israel and the modern day Israel are the same thing, through YouTube videos and Google search results. The backdoor winking mechanism in Google that Israel has set up, that'll let them know whenever the US government asks Google, what the hell have you been handing over? Follow for more updates.
18 U.S. Air Force F-35s were escorted by KC-135 Stratotankers from the United Kingdom to the Middle East yesterday, which is one of the largest recent deployments of F-35s. The jets, part of the 495th Fighter Squadron, departed Lakenheath Air Base and headed southeast towards the CENTCOM area of operations. And like I said, they were accompanied by refueling tankers, specifically 6 KC-135s. And we all know why they're heading there: Iran. Investigators now say a controller may have stepped away just seconds before a fire truck and plane collided at LaGuardia. New details now show the NTSB is investigating whether one of the 2 air traffic controllers on duty briefly left their position to answer an emergency crash phone inside the tower. These phones are used for urgent situations. If you remember, another plane was having problems right before the accident. But investigators are now looking into whether stepping away, even momentarily, could have impacted what was happening in the tower at the time.
Okay guys, overnight, the US did not end a whole civilization, a ceasefire was agreed, and the Strait of Hormuz is reopening. What the hell? That's the kind of midweek news we needed, so what happens now? Is it all over? Hold your horses, buddy. What you can reasonably expect is a calmer next 2 weeks. Hopefully. Because that is the duration of this ceasefire that Iran and the US agreed to just 2 hours before Trump's deadline of 8 p.m. Eastern Time. The US said, we're gonna suspend all bombing, and Iran said, we're gonna let your ships pass. Trump confirmed they received a 10-point proposal from Iran, and he believes it's a workable basis on which to negotiate with the long-term problem close to resolution. Oh, and Pakistan, where you at? Because we want to thank you. You guys actually played a pretty major role as mediators in achieving this, albeit temporary, peace. In fact, all parties are coming out claiming that they took the W. Iran declared this is a massive victory for themselves, while the US said that this is a total and complete victory and a big day for world peace. Even oil dropped to below $100 after this announcement. Now, the only party not joining in the victory peace celebrations is Israel, because Netanyahu came out and said that Lebanon is not part of this ceasefire and they will continue with their operations. Next steps. Friday, both delegations from Iran and the US will head to Pakistan for negotiations, and the US said that they are even possibly considering for in-person talks, possibly involving JD Vance. So, not the end of the war, but a much-needed break. Keep you guys updated.
You've heard of wild and crazy conspiracies, but this one kind of makes a lot of weird sense. And why do I say that? Because apparently, since this all began right over here, you know exactly what I'm talking about. A lot of people are saying that they're not seeing certain clouds in the skies over the United States. And what I'm talking about are these kind of clouds all over the United States. If you take note, like I did, I listened to what people were saying. And we had an early spring day here in New York with temperatures reaching the 70s. And there was not a cloud in the sky, or these clouds as well. With some people claiming that the planes are too busy doing other things so that they can't do these things right over here. So I guess my question to you is, have you taken notice to these specific clouds being missing out of the sky due to the beginning of you-know-what overseas? Take note the next time you're outside, especially if it's sunny, like I did today in New York. There was not one to be found. It was a crystal clear blue sky, cloudless. Let me know your thoughts in the comments on this and post photos if you see any of them in the comments as well. And as always, I'd love to hear from you.
Wow. That's crazy.
While we were all distracted with Trump's deadline for the war, the House Oversight Committee set a date for Bill Gates to testify regarding his ties to Jeffrey Epstein. This will happen on June 10th, and I have to wonder if they're going to ask him about the email where he's asking for STD medication for Melinda, ask him about the 2017 emails that show Bill Gates and Epstein discussing a pandemic simulation years before COVID-19, or ask about the conversation where Jeffrey Epstein asked Bill Gates, how do we get rid of all the poor people as a whole? Gates said that he welcomes the opportunity to appear before the committee and that he never witnessed or participated in any of Epstein's illegal activity, even though he had to apologize to his staff for having extramarital relations with Russian girls that Epstein procured. Can we call Melinda to the stand?
You care to say anything about that? I think those are questions Bill needs to answer. Okay.
I'm sure he's just going to answer these questions like Bill and Hillary Clinton did when they had to testify.
She or any other young female on that trip underage at that time?
Not that I'm aware of.
Or maybe he'll just say it doesn't matter now because, well,
he's dead, so, in general, you always have to be careful.
I'm sure that's exactly what he'll be when he's answering these questions. As always, I want to hear what you think about all of this down below.
I can't believe that the rich can just... it's in writing. It's literally in writing. Everything. Oh, he's no longer alive.
August 10th, 2019, a woman seems to have a premonition just 38 minutes before the incident. That's what it feels like. This woman is at work, and the past few hours, she has been, by all objective accounts, a pretty bad employee. She's been looking up furniture sales online. She's been taking a nap. But for some reason, at 5:52 in the morning during her night shift, it's no longer sofas and coffee tables. This woman types into the search bar of her government computer, latest on Epstein in jail. Her desk is just 15 feet from Jeffrey Epstein's jail cell. She's supposed to check up on him every 30 minutes through the night, but she and her fellow officer do not do that. And instead of getting up and walking over to see Jeffrey Epstein in jail, another search is made 10 minutes later, 5:52 a.m. Latest on Epstein in jail.
That's weird.
Some people could call it a premonition because just 38 minutes later, Jeffrey Epstein is found dead in his jail cell. But when the DOJ asked her about it, she says, I don't remember doing that. So for reasons she says she can't recall, she used her work computer twice, allegedly, to look up the man she was supposed to be watching who was 15 feet away from her. She looked him up right before the rest of the world even knew he was dead.
Was this like the latest?
Yes, it was released in the latest Epstein files on January 30th.
That's freaking insane.
And there's more. Chase Bank had flagged the FBI of suspicious transactions to her Chase account, cash deposits. All of them were under $10,000. It was like a total of $11,000, but experts weighed in and they said for Chase to flag those types of cash transactions
To the FBI?
to the FBI means that it must have been a certain cadence. And interestingly, one of the biggest cash deposits, which was like $5,000, was the same day that Jeffrey Epstein was moved into the special housing unit, which is the unit that she is in.
Wow.
So all of this, the answer could be as simple as this is all a coincidence, or maybe it is a glitch in the computer, or it could be as dark as some people just know things before they happen, and maybe it has nothing to do with a premonition. That is what the House Oversight Committee wants to know, and why they want to formally interview Epstein's jail guards again, to answer all the questions, not just about the searches, but also how the exact day that Epstein is returned to the special housing unit, the same guard gets a cash deposit to her bank account, why Chase Bank flagged 12 separate cash deposits to her bank account as suspicious activity, and why at the time, knowing all of this, the Department of Justice never questioned her about any of the cash deposits. And the only reason that we know any of this is because it's been released in the Epstein files. This emergency school board meeting has been called in a small town in Tennessee, all because of one man. Because of what he did, this small town is expecting not just hundreds, but potentially thousands of its active and former citizens showing up to see what will happen to Keith Irvin. All over what this man did to a high school student during a public school board meeting, where Keith Irvin was not only present, but he is an active school board member.
God, you're hot. You know that? Where do you go to school at? I go to Crockett. All right.
Now that everyone has seen and heard what this man did to this high school student during a school board meeting, not only scheduled protesting, they have petitions up to have him removed, but now an emergency meeting has been called by one of the other members of the school board. Surely this emergency meeting was called by the superintendent, Jerry Boyd, who was literally sitting on the other side of that child as this happened to her, and then did and said nothing to stop it, and then laughed along with everyone else. He told a child how hot she was to him. Nope. The board member who is calling this emergency meeting is one of the women on the school board. Meet Annette Buchanan, who after the shock of this moment has worn off and now everyone has seen it, she said enough is enough. Problem being, and the reason why everyone is going to be showing up to this meeting is because they can't fire this man. He has to resign. But Keith Irvin has already stated on the record that he does not think he did anything wrong. Given the chance to go back in time, he would do it all over again. Showing you the level of audacity we're dealing with. Refusing to resign is not a shock at this point, but the fact that why would he think that he should be held accountable for his actions? He hasn't just been on the school board for a few years, he's served multiple terms, has had multiple ethical complaints filed against him. The only difference being that he said this to a high school student during a publicly recorded meeting, that it's just not Keith Irvin the citizens of this town are coming for. They're coming for their superintendent as well. We'll see how this emergency school board meeting goes and if Keith Irvin still feels like he shouldn't have to resign.
Everest 2026 is going to be the most dangerously crowded in history. And it's not just because more people want to climb it, it's also because the north side is closed, which means every single climber is being forced onto one route. The same ropes, the same camps, and the same weather window, all of them going up at the same time. Now, Nepal has tried to introduce some new rules, like a tracking chip that doesn't really work unless someone's really, really close to you. Solo climbing is banned, but people are still solo climbing. They're finding ways around it. And that whole rule about climbing a 7,000 metre mountain, that hasn't actually come in just yet. And the new rules, based on all the crap that's up the mountain. And I go into this in far more depth on my YouTube channel. Yes, it's a bit dramatic. Everest is over. This is the name of my channel, Michelle vs. Humanity. I've also got a Patreon, which has a free trial at the moment for 7 days. I'm going to stop that fairly soon. Links in my profile. And follow me for the unhinged shit.
Many people have been asking the same question for years. What is going on with our weather? And why do they ask that? Because many people believe that something is going on with our weather, something that somebody could be controlling. And this next video might answer a lot of those questions or raise even more. Take a listen to this.
We have a thunderstorm.
Listen.
We've got a lot of things happening today that could potentially limit our risk of severe weather later tonight. But if they don't change the atmosphere, then we're still primed for severe weather tonight.
If they, who's they? What does she mean by they? If they don't change the atmosphere tonight, that's the quote, we might have severe thunderstorms. Take a listen to that one more time.
We have a thunderstorm. We've got a lot of things happening today that could potentially limit our risk of severe weather later tonight. But if they don't change the atmosphere, then we're still primed for severe weather.
The video sparked a lot of debate and a lot of conversation, rightfully so. Once again, who is they? And what is she talking about? So like I said at the beginning of the video, it was either going to answer a lot of the questions you might have had about what's going on with our weather, or give you a brand new set of questions to be asking. Let me know your thoughts on this in the comments. And as always, I'd love to hear from you.
I saw what Albert Einstein said about the war. I know not with what weapons World War III will be fought, but World War IV will be fought with sticks and stones.
Yeah, you know why he said that?
Fam, it's because we have nukes, we have AI.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna come into another stone age after this. Like, God forbid anything happen, right?
Some people think that's already what happened.
That's already what happened.
Yeah, some people think like there's ancient civilizations that were just as advanced as us.
Yeah.
And war happened. The Tartaria theory.
Yes.
Ancient civilization just underneath all of the mud, pretty much built over on top. Do you think they're still in control, or they're actually just panicking right now?
The fact that we're making like a big deal of this, they're 100% still in control.
Yeah, because what if that's part of the plan?
That is part of the plan.
Guys, this is your Day 7 update. The Artemis crew just left the moon's gravitational field, and right now they are being pulled back to Earth. They are now being pulled towards Earth from over 200,000 miles away, which is exactly how this entire mission was designed to work. The moon's gravity bent their path all the way around and threw them back towards home without a single main engine burn. That is insane. No propulsions needed, just physics doing the entire thing on its own. Okay. Basically, they're going to be coasting for the next 3 days, firing small thruster burns along the way to fine-tune their path home. The re-entry that's scheduled for Friday is going to hit 25,000 miles per hour with a heat shield that'll reach 5,000 degrees. Splashdown will be off the coast of San Diego with a Navy recovery ship already out there waiting for them. This crew just flew further from Earth than any human ever has in history. They saw things that no human has ever been able to see before, and in 3 days, they are going to be back home. Obviously, you know everything that I'm posting right now, so make sure you go ahead and add me now, because I am here every single day with updates until the Artemis crew is back on Earth.
Bible verses that make me scared of the ocean. This is like a subreddit to my terrifying ocean series. There's so many verses in the Bible that are gonna make you not want to ever dip your toesies in the ocean. Like, I can't. Let's just dive right into it. Number 1, Isaiah 27:1. The Lord will punish Leviathan, the fleeing serpent, the twisting serpent. He will slay the monster of the sea. This is proving. Okay, y'all, wait, but here's the question. A lot of y'all are saying, and maybe I haven't read this part in the Bible where you guys are saying that God took out the Leviathan, like the Leviathan's dead. Then the other half of y'all are saying that there were 2 Leviathans. Some people translate it as having 2 heads, and other people translate it as there were 2. God took out the female so it couldn't reproduce, but there is a Leviathan still in the sea to come out in the end times. Am I understanding this right? Please correct me if I'm wrong. I want to be wrong, because understanding that the Mariana Trench, I say this every single time, the Mariana Trench is so deep that if Mount Everest was in the water, it would still be a mile from the tip of Mount Everest to the surface. So that being said, there's so much room for a little levy to be at the bottom, just, swimming around. Next one. This one is so simple, but if you think about it, it's so not simple. Back to the beginning, Genesis 1:2 says, darkness was over the surface of the deep. So you're telling me before anything existed, it was water? There was water there? Because the Bible says there's waters above and waters below. So this is exactly why, listen, call me crazy, call me tinfoil, but have y'all seen like a rocket ship in the sky? It literally looks like it's underwater. I believe that space is the ocean and the ocean is space. Come for me if you want. Let's keep going. This one, a lot of people probably wouldn't even find it terrifying, but Jonah 2:5-6. The engulfing waters threatened me. The deep surrounded me. To the roots of the mountains I sank down. So we really have to think about like what Jonah actually went through. Obviously, we know he was swallowed up, stayed in the belly of a fish. Can you actually freaking imagine falling into the deep sea and then getting swallowed? Like, we don't talk about that enough. Okay, he gets out, he does God's will at the end of the day, as he should. However, we don't talk about how we got there. Am I the only one that gets shivers from that? That's only 3. There are plenty more, but listen, y'all, as always, I'm gonna ask you, make sure you like and comment, but do you want a part 2? Do you really?
2 went to the moon on April 1st, or April Fool's Day. But if that's not enough, let's look at the name. So the name NASA in Hebrew means to begul, or to deceive. And if you look at the logo, you can literally see the serpent tongue that goes right through it. And across history, the serpent literally means what? Deception. You're probably asking, what are they hiding from us? They can't go to the moon. There is a firmament in the sky. In 1962, there was a project called Project Fishbowl. Basically, what it was a series of missiles they shot up into space that exploded because they can't go to space. And of course, this project failed. If you look across history, all these civilizations told us that our world is a dome. The only people telling us that our world is a ball, a spinning globe, is NASA. And I know I'm not the biggest Bible advocate because it is fallible text, but here's the cherry on top. In the very beginning of Genesis 1:6-8, and God said, "Let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters." And God made the firmament, and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament. And it was so. And God called the firmament heaven. You have to understand that they have to give you droplets of the truth. They would not distort something this significant for no reason. Because if you believe we're spinning on a globe, flying through formless space, through an endless universe that has existed for billions and billions of years, all of a sudden your life starts to feel insignificant, like an accident, like temporary. And when you feel insignificant, the idea of a creator seems distant. It doesn't even seem like a truth that could be a possibility. But if you flip the perspective for a second and you realize what we are living in is something contained in the midst of the waters, your existence would not feel like a coincidence anymore. And in that kind of world, you would have complete conviction that the creator is all. It's here.
Breaking news. At this time, this was yesterday or last night, emergency crews are on the scene of a massive fire at an egg farm near Corwith, Iowa, which has spread to multiple buildings. So egg farm's on fire, Nebraska's on fire, fuel or energy crisis looming. This kind of reminds me, like, you realize they're talking about lab-grown meat and lab-grown butter and all this crazy stuff, but no one's going to eat that stuff unless there are very, very few alternatives. In other words, if the whole food system were to collapse and change drastically, that's the only way they'd have any chance of implementing the lab-grown strange stuff.
Yeah.
Don't you think it's an interesting situation that in the last 100 years, we went from like 75% of people grew their own food, knew how to farm, knew how to can, knew how to jar, and now like 98% of people live in cities. Well, it's actually 50% of the planet lives, 50% of the world lives on 1% of the land, but my point is that people aren't farming anymore. We're totally dependent on grocery stores and gigantic factory farms. So they get us dependent on it, and then they pull the plug and take us to the next stage of their control system. Now, I can't say I have all the solutions to this shocking situation that's going on, but I can say there is a concerted effort to keep you in a lowered state of consciousness and alter your vibrational frequency with the crazy chemicals in the food, air, and water supply. And right now, Chalk is giving away free $100 bags of the organic heirloom cacao from Bolivia, the Chalk Lit Powder, which is super detoxifying and delicious. And if you combine that with the hot water purified Shilajit, you're getting some of the most potent adaptogens in the natural world. Comment free below and check your DMs for details.
Stop what you're doing. This man, while 160,000 miles away from planet Earth on a journey to the moon, just made a statement without any preparation that is going viral.
I think these observances are important. And as we are so far from Earth and looking back at, the beauty of creation, I think for me, one of the really important personal perspectives that I have up here is I can really see Earth as one thing. And, when I read the Bible and I look at all of the amazing things that were done for us who were created, it's you have this amazing place, this spaceship. You guys are talking to us because we're in a spaceship really far from Earth, but you're on a spaceship called Earth that was created to give us a place to live in the universe, in the cosmos. I think maybe the distance we are from you makes you think what we're doing is special, but we're the same distance from you. And I'm trying to tell you, just trust me, you are special. In all of this emptiness, this is a whole bunch of nothing, this thing we call the universe. You have this oasis, this beautiful place that we get to exist together. I think as we go into Easter Sunday, thinking about, all the cultures all around the world, whether you celebrate it or not, whether you believe in God or not, this is an opportunity for us to remember where we are, who we are, and that we are the same thing and that we got to get through this together.
What did you think of that message? Was that exactly what humanity needed to hear with all of the things going on in the world? Or Do you feel a different way about that? Let me know in the comments down below. Be sure to like, follow, and subscribe to stay up to date with what's going on in the world and much more.
NASA just officially dropped the second batch of Artemis photos, and honestly, some of these are more insane than the ones I showed you yesterday. Yesterday, I was able to show you the Earthrise, the eclipse, and the craters, but NASA was apparently hiding the best of them for last. They were able to capture a photo of the Milky Way galaxy from over 200,000 miles away with zero atmosphere and zero light pollution. It's beautiful. But also, there's now the brand new eclipse photos that are on a completely different level, and there are way more of them this time. In some of the photos that they were able to get, you can actually see the Orion spacecraft in the frame. That is like the ultimate selfie. And then there's the crew photos, which is obviously all 4 astronauts floating with the American and Canadian flags, taking group photos 250,000 miles away. They even just took a photo of all of them wearing solar eclipse glasses and just grinning at the camera. These are officially the farthest selfies that have ever been taken in human history, and they look like they're having the time of their lives. They were 250,000 miles away from Earth, and they were posing for group photos with solar eclipse glasses on. Priorities.
Jeffrey Epstein was obsessed with the color blue, and it has to mean something. So I talked about this in one of my longer videos, but if you take a look at Epstein's properties, the color blue is more prevalent than almost any other color. And it's used in such strange ways, like for example, blue carpet like this. I mean, when do you see something like this? You've got blue couches. You've got blue artwork. You've even got blue on the curtains. Obviously, this room is a blue lover's fever dream. You've got blue on the floor, blue on the cushioning. You've got an actual blue chandelier. You've got blue on the curtains, blue on the patterning painted on the walls. Now, entering one of the hallways in the residence, blue curtains once again. And here's another look at that blue room. You've even got a blue table and a blue lamp. Epstein's kind of main office room, I think this is like a bluish pillar to the left. Blue frame, and then the ceiling is painted this dark kind of royal blue. Here's a better look at that ceiling. I mean, you can't make this up. This was in Epstein's house. A literal blue sculpture. Like, I don't want to say it, but a sculpture. Moving on to the bathroom, you've even got blue towels. You've even got entire rooms that were painted blue, like this room. Blue on the bed. I mean, there's blue on the carpet again here. Here's another hallway with what appear to be blue highlights on the walls, and then that very distinct blue carpet. And all the way to the upstairs of the home. I mean, the blue stairs is just crazy. And it opens up at the top to blue walls. To me, this is just so unbelievably strange. I mean, there's even like a blue, what is this, an electrical cord that something's hanging on? I couldn't really tell you. So what is up with this fascination? Why the color blue? I've asked a lot of people, and I have looked into this myself many times, and I haven't been able to find a definitive answer or even a potential answer as to why he would be obsessed with this color and be placing it everywhere. But if you have any ideas or suggestions, please let me know, because this is just something that I've noticed looking at thousands and thousands and thousands of photos relating to this case. And it's really, really bizarre to me. He is literally obsessed with the color blue. Go look at the photos from his other properties. That obsession is still apparent at those other properties as well. I mean, all the way to the temple on Epstein Island. But yeah, let me know your thoughts below and follow along for more.
So, every single year, Colorado celebrates a frozen dead guy. Yes, this is 100% real. Let's talk about it. So let's go back to the 1980s, where a man named Bretto, he ended up dying in a place called Nederland, Colorado. Now, his family thought science could bring him back, so they literally put him on dry ice and put him in a shed. And yeah, he's literally still there today. I have no idea how. But here's the even wilder part. Yes, this gets wilder. Instead of them shutting it down, they turned it into a festival. And it's literally called the Frozen Dead Guy Festival. Yeah, they have things like put people in a coffin and throw them down a hill, race. They have Frozen-themed competitions. They've got Dressed Like a Viking Day, and all this to celebrate a frozen dead human being. So, let me ask you this. Is this a respectful tribute, or is this one of the craziest things you've ever heard, or an intersection of both? I'd like to hear in the comments below what you guys think, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.
Pizza delivery man's one small act of kindness is now changing his life. 68-year-old Dan, the Domino's pizza delivery man, was delivering an order when he saw that they had tried to order Diet Coke, but his store was out. He decided to make a stop along the way to get them the Diet Coke they were wanting. When the family getting their pizza was in shock that he went out of his way to get them their drink, he told them not to worry about it because their $6 tip they had already given him for the order was more than enough. But the people getting this pizza and their drink were stunned. They didn't have any more cash to tip him to thank him for his kindness. So they shared Dan, the pizza delivery man's small act of kindness online and then started a GoFundMe. And when Dan found out about it, he was shocked to see how much it had raised.
Yes, it just blew up and went crazy, which I find hard to believe. And I think now it's up to $18,465. I checked just before you guys got here. That blew me away.
But that was the last time he checked it. In the last 24 hours, it has now reached over $130,000. That's how much the average donation is. You guessed it, $6. Proving how compassion for others touches so many more lives than we realize. How one small act of kindness can grow into something life-changing.
That's so nice. That's really nice. You see, that's the stuff I'm into.
The deadliest rabbit hole of all time.
Good.
That's what people have called this website, and I decided to explore it with no prior research. Since last video, I discovered that I can actually click on these pictures and they will bring me to other links. And that Mickey Mouse picture immediately brings me to this webpage. Welcome to the Laughing Horses Orifice headquarters. It's talking about human flesh, 777, a lot of weird stuff going on. And strangely, like some of the other ones, there is text hidden behind this green background that you can highlight and actually read. This is talking about some kind of like cells that were found in a water source in 2001, turning the water red that had no presence of DNA inside them. Pretty weird. I don't know what it means. Along with that, up here, we have reverse engineering the Bush presidency. Flight 77 disappeared from the radar over the southern Ohio. Talking about something with 9/11, I'm pretty sure. Quickly, if you like ARGs, internet mysteries, or even the dark web, join my Discord, link in bio. Now from here, I want to go a little bit deeper. I know these are usually links, so I'm going to click on the 777. Okay, so we have Donald Trump, Pinochet option, a CIA neoliberal mind control, Bush, Clinton, and Habsburg. I don't know what any of this is. Expect more updates. It's probably an ARG or an R project, so please don't spoil it for me in the comments.
It appears the A-10 Warthog isn't going away anytime soon. It's still getting updates and was seen testing with a refueling probe. This is how they're typically refueled from KC-135s, but now, as you see here, they'll be able to use a drogue, meaning they can refuel from a C-130 as well.
Whoa, technology.
China just revealed a drone the size of a mosquito so that it could spy on you from the inside of a room, and you would never even know that it's there. China's National University of Defense Technology unveiled it on state military TV. It weighs 0.3 grams, less than a raindrop, 2 centimeters long, and wings that beat 500 times per second. It mimics the flight pattern of a real mosquito. It's invisible to radar, and you control it with just a smartphone. It can go through windows, through vents, into any room a bug can reach. They're calling it informational reconnaissance and special missions on the battlefield. Battlefield. Right, because governments only ever do surveillance on just the battlefield. In Black Mirror's episode, Hated in the Nation, robot bees, or tiny autonomous drones the size of insects, were hijacked so that they could assassinate people. Experts are already comparing this drone that China unveiled to that episode. When surveillance is the size of an insect on your wall, then privacy doesn't just erode, it ceases to exist at all. If you want to continue to stay updated on more dystopian technology news, then sign up for my newsletter through the link in my bio. But as always, think about it, let me know what you think, and follow me.
It's so over. We're so screwed.
We need to talk about this video, which was posted to astronauts. They put it on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram. They're literally in space, guys. I'm going to play the full-blown video for you now. Let me know if you notice what I'm noticing.
So this is our last time in the cupola. Yep. And I don't want to cry because the earth is so beautiful. Oh, I'm already there. It's been a real pleasure to go to space with you. You too. Yeah. And just like getting to see something that so few people get to see would you so make me cry. Oh my god, it is stunning.
What are we looking for?
It's just so beautiful.
Whoa. Say it. Come on, dude. What am I looking at? What's shocking? Why are you shaking your head? Clouds? The clouds?
Love you, home soon.
All right, guys, I literally am in space right now, too. It looks pretty real, right? Wow, it's gorgeous. Woohoo! Space with a fisheye lens and CGI. Boom, bang, bang. When you wake up to the deception that is space and NASA, which literally means to deceive, a lot of things, unlock in your consciousness. Because if that is being fibbed about, you can imagine what else is a complete lie. In fact, some call it the greatest lie of all lies. Because it would hide the existence of, it does a really good job of hiding the existence of God. And making you think you're this insignificant speck hurtling on a rock through space in a bajillion miles an hour, twisting and twirling through the cosmos. We gotta snap out of it, man. We only got a few years till 2030 when they plan to enslave this freaking ball or dome or sphere or flat plane. Come on.
It's a wild conspiracy.
Didn't know, apparently when they say jerky in the Epstein files, they're talking about child meat.
Going crazy? Think they found a code word for human meat? Wait, what?
This is disgusting.
Hope you are feeling better. Did we analyze the jerky? Why didn't we get jerky this week? Beef jerky, delicious. Jojo is here and we'll walk the jerky over to Jeffrey. Why would jerky walk around? Why would it do that? Delicious lunch, beef jerky. Steve and I are very grateful above all for your friendship. Some of these emails are so wholesome, aren't they? It's too bad they eat kids. A small insulated bag would be fine. I don't remember checking it. No need for crazy amounts of ice. One should do. There is one bag of beef jerky in the fridge. Please get it. Also, Blank has more at her place. Please get it from her as well. I suppose it needs to be in a cold, insulated bag. Just wanted to touch base about jerky. J.E. said he was going to start eating regular food again, so he might be eating less jerky. He said he has 6 bags of it in the downstairs freezer. Why would you freeze jerky? Steve needs a 6 to 8 ounce portion of jerky. I gave you all the jerky we had, and it lasted only half the amount of time it was meant to.
I don't know. This world, it's so over.
The latest decision being made with this war should have everyone a bit concerned and possibly even scared. And why do I say that? The United States just deployed the E-6B Mercury nuclear command aircraft to the Middle East. And what is an E-6B Mercury plane? It is the actual plane that sends the signal to nuclear submarines. You heard what I said. It is the actual plane that sends the signal to nuclear submarines. And that signal is whether or not to launch a nuclear weapon. And once again, this video is not to fearmonger. It is to educate. We should be scared. We just sent our nuclear plane to the Middle East so that if we need to make a nuclear decision, we can do it within minutes. And you can take a look at it for yourself. E-6B Mercury movement. And you can see exactly that the plane is on the move to the Middle East. And this, once again, is the USA's doomsday plane. And this only comes out in the event of a possible disaster. And once again, they sent this plane right here to the Middle East. And once again, I've come across a lot of videos on social media where people are claiming that if there's a nuclear blast, what they're going to do. I'll give you one guess what you're going to do. Absolutely nothing. And that's reality. And once again, I cannot reiterate, we are living in some dangerous times right now. So once again, this video is not for the purpose of fear-mongering. It's for the purpose of education. And keep it in the back of your mind. Look it up for yourself. This plane right here signifies a lot. And if they have plans of doing what they plan to do, we are going to have a very, very big problem. And I pray for all that we don't. Let me know your thoughts on this in the comments. And as always, I'd love to hear from you.
When you think of Idaho, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? I bet it's not a super haunted military cemetery or one of the best photos of a ghost ever captured. This photo was taken at the Fort Boise Military Cemetery, and it's probably one of the clearest photos of an apparition I've ever seen. Not just that, there's a very clear orb over one of the fence posts as well. But standing amongst the tall grass behind this giant tombstone, there is a man. And he actually looks like he's wearing military clothes. You can see the details in the man's face. This was taken during a ghost hunt in this cemetery. And the man actually almost looks translucent. Like you can see the fence post behind him as well. And I haven't seen this pointed out on this picture before, but it almost looks like there's something even taller standing next to him right here. But whatever that is, it doesn't look like a human. I'm not sure what that is. It even has a red face, so I'm wondering if it's like one of those interdimensional spirits that I've talked about before. What do y'all think?
That's crazy. You can't argue that. That's literally a person.
Well, a couple updates in the case of Lynette Hooker, the woman who's missing in the Bahamas. For one, now that we have a picture of the dinghy, I mean, it is possible that she fell off the boat due to bad weather. A lot of people were like, why are they getting on a dinghy at 7:30 at night? They were trying to get back to their yacht. At some of these docks, you can't bring a yacht into these smaller marinas. You have to anchor out in the water and then take a dinghy to the marina. They were trying to get back to their yacht and experience bad weather. I will say I do still find it odd that it took him 9 hours to paddle back to shore, and he ended up again in a completely different part of the islands from where they left. Obviously, if the weather was bad enough, that could be why it took him 9 hours. Lynette's daughter has made a statement. She said she is privy to little information relating to her mom's disappearance. My sole concern is to find out what happened to my mother and make sure a full and complete investigation is performed into her disappearance. Obviously, if there are any other updates, I'll keep you guys posted.
You guys think that it's just a coincidence that in 2019, shortly after the mass rollout of 5G technology, we had a massive COVID outbreak, something that is known to affect the respiratory system. Now, maybe I'm just thinking about this too deeply here, but there are some other anomalies that I'd like to share with you guys. Now, if we just go back a little bit further, you guys remember in 2009 when the swine flu pandemic started happening around the world? What's super interesting about that is that's the exact same year that they rolled out 4G technology. Must be just another coincidence, but let's go deeper now. Then we go back to 1998 where they rolled out 3G technology. The exact same time the avian flu outbreak happened. Of course, I'm just a crazy conspiracy theorist that doesn't know what he's talking about, but all of these coincidences just seem pretty interesting to me, don't they? It always seems like there's this plan to attack us, to make us sick, to make us weak, docile, stupid, submissive. They're trying to fill their own pockets by keeping us on Big Pharma's conveyor belt or something like that. Like I said, just a crazy conspiracy theorist. Nothing to see here, guys. But if you know, you know. This is why it's never been more important to be of sound body and mind. Take purified, high vibrational supplements like chalk shilajit. Make sure the body has its essential minerals that it needs to run efficiently. Something that our loving government desperately tries to keep from us. And I have incredible lifetime discounts for you guys, so comment the word info and check your DMs. Peace and love.
I'm blown away by this. Apparently this is real. I saw it on my feed a couple days ago and I'm like, that's obviously AI. Apparently not. I'm gonna show you the video, don't worry, but people are speculating that this could be an angel. But guys, look at the way it moves.
Whoa. Okay, that's AI. That's AI. That's AI, right? That's AI? Please? Right?
Now watch the way it moves right here. Even experts have been talking about it all over social media. Look at one of the comments. As an AI expert, y'all, the light on the ground and on the bushes is very consistent. There is no warping of the background. This may very well be the real deal. Did you see the way it moved? Y'all, that's exactly how the Bible describes angels moving. Like, they say there's a scientific explanation behind it, and that may be true, but what do y'all think?
After reading the Epstein files, we all know the real reason why the Clintons were just admitted into Walter Reed Hospital. It's because they're having increasing symptoms of the Kuru disease, the cannibal brain-eating one. And if you don't know what that is, I'll explain it to you. But first I gotta show you that we knew that Hillary Clinton was sick 10 years ago and was having issues appearing in public. So that's why we haven't seen much of her or her husband, because they've been having this terrible disease, which comes from eating brains. If you eat the human brains of someone else, there's this protein called a prion, and it will live inside of you for years and most likely be dormant until your old age, when it starts suddenly having more drastic effects. The most prominent symptom is uncontrollable head shaking and laughter. People with Kuru also have to routinely excrete green mucus from their throat, which is disgusting, but you can see it in this clip right here. And in the later stages of Kuru, as seen with Jeffrey Epstein here, you'll start to see mouth sores pop up all over the place, which are highly transmissible.
Oh my god, wait, can we go back to that Hillary Clinton literally splitting out the green mucus and doing the head shake?
There's an equation that actually suggests that if aliens are real, they could be stuck on the planet they're on. Or at least some of them. This is the Tsiolkovsky rocket equation. And I'm an idiot and I'm not a physicist, but I do know how to read, so I kind of know what it means. This physics rule basically decides whether or not a civilization can get into space. So the problem is that rockets need fuel to go faster, and fuel has weight. So the more weight on the ship, the more fuel needed. Do you see where I'm going? Fuel is pretty heavy, so if you want to go a little bit faster, you will need exponentially more fuel, adding exponentially more weight. On Earth, we can barely do this. The mass of our rockets are 90% fuel or something crazy like that. And that's all just to escape the gravity of your planet. Now imagine if there was an alien planet with actual beings on it, but it was bigger than Earth. It had more gravity and a thicker atmosphere. To escape their orbit, they would not need just a little bit more fuel. They would need an insane amount of fuel. Even if they were a lot more advanced than us, it's still pretty plausible that they would just hit a wall with physics and just not be able to leave their planet. So theoretically, there could be entire civilizations looking up at the stars, knowing space is real, but they just cannot leave.
I'm going to show you video footage that I acquired on the dark web that shows a different density of water that exists beneath our oceans and our flat earth plane that we live on. From what I've been told on the dark web, this guy in the video has gone missing after this video was released. But if you look down on his feet, you can see he's already underwater, but below him is another density of water that is heavier and exists at the very bottom of everything in our known universe, which is just the Earth surrounded by the firmament. So it shows the heaviest water that there is with an impenetrable ocean. And this is some pretty freaky stuff when you see it, because unconsciously you know that this is not meant for us to be seen. Regular humans are not supposed to see the barriers of our realm that we exist in. But I'm here to tell you, there are ways to get past these barriers and go to other lands that not only exist past the ice wall, but in other planes of existence. And to do that, you basically have to become a different frequency, but I can talk about that in another video.
Some flash type thing vibrating through Earth.
Alright, I'm going to prove to you that those clouds out there are chemtrails, and they are literally creating the weather. So if you look at this screenshot, you can clearly tell it's 1:52, and it's supposed to be cloudy at 3 p.m. Now I'm going to show you a few more clips going to 3 p.m. and after, so you can literally watch it in real time. Them literally creating clouds and covering the sun. Because I'm not lying. I hope y'all realize they literally make the weather. That's how they know the weather. It's almost 2 p.m. right now, and at 3 p.m. for the next few hours, it's supposed to be cloudy. Now just watch. They're not predicting it, they just make it. And here's the proof. It's right in front of your eyes. Please wake up. These are not clouds. They are chemtrails. They make you dumb. They make you sick. They block out the sun, which is the most necessary nutrient on the planet.
That's wild. That's crazy. That's literally proof right there. That's insane.
That is a siren, I'm telling you right freaking now. Because literally what? Mind you, they're alone. And now everyone's been talking about how people always say whenever you see a dolphin, a siren is right around the corner. And I just have something to say about that. Because y'all remember the whole Gerald thing, right? I'm talking about the Florida man that said that he was kidnapped by bottlenose dolphin. This might seem like a repeat to people that have been here following the series, but I have to tell other people, I have to start them somewhere. He was taken, come to find out, he passed a psych eval, he wasn't on a substance. boom, he starts making all these like really detailed sketches of apparently these buildings and stuff that the bottlenose dolphins are forcing him to build underground, or not underground, underwater. And the dolphin that was in charge of this was called Gerald, and Gerald literally said, go ahead and tell them, no one will believe you. Right? There's more to the story, more evidence, but we're going to keep going. Okay, so we talked about how dolphins were used in the Vietnam War to sniff out bombs. They have been used by the US government to arrest people underwater, like unauthorized divers. We talked about how they can see our emotions in almost like auras, and their sonar is so powerful that apparently it can assist the birth. And there was actually a whole birthing center with dolphins until it got shut down because apparently it was giving women painless birth when they would go around them and around them. And it's illegal to talk to dolphins. People say it's not illegal, but they don't want you talking to them in their natural habitat, only in captivity, right? So now my thing is, here's my thing. What if, and I might sound crazy, what if the dolphins and the sirens can talk? And this is why people always say that everywhere you see a dolphin, you're going to see a siren. What if they're coexisting, bro? And what if that's what they don't want us to know? Do I sound insane? I don't know. I feel like they know something. And I feel like everybody's kind of catching on to it because anytime they come out in the news talking about, oh, it was a hoax. Like if it's a hoax and it's just like tomfoolery, why do you feel the need to publicly tell everybody that it's tomfoolery? You wouldn't give it the time of day, right? And why were y'all sending helicopters to go check out exactly where the dude said Gerald was? Riddle me that. I don't know, y'all. It just, I feel like there's some kind of connection. I have to do more research, find out if there's any folklore or any old stories that connects the two. I don't know. Feel like the connection between their clicks and sounds and then sirens also using sounds and music to lure people into the, there's a connection and I'm going to freaking find it. I'm a sleuth until I find it. Anyway, y'all, as always, make sure you like and follow. Comment down below what you think.
NASA is modifying its first ever 777. It acquired this 777-200ER from Japan Airlines back in 2022, and it's eventually going to replace their DC-8. It's being modified to become essentially a flying science lab, and Jay Adams on X spotted this plane just a few days ago. Hopefully we'll see this thing fly soon.
So I was going through the files, and I realized Larry Ellison has his own island. Now, if you guys don't know who Larry Ellison is the new owner of TikTok. On top of that, there's this email right here that says, did he get the island because he was jealous of Jeffries? This is the island of Lanai. This is owned by Larry Ellison, and the sole visitor, guess his name, Benjamin Netanyahu. What is going on with TikTok? Like this post and follow. More about TikTok coming today.
Oh boy. Oh boy, we're so screwed.
Have you seen this latest footages of the moon from the Artemis 2 mission? They noticed some movement, and so they zoomed in on the camera and look at this crater hole. There's an objector that comes out of it. Well, NASA's now saying, oh, this was just a smudge on the camera, but you can literally see the shadow. And so I'm curious what you think it is. I reached out to my cousin who works at PetSmart in the fish section, and she said, look at that movement. She said, look, there are asteroid edges that hit the moon's surface, but they don't usually come outside of the moon. And so to me, it seems like it's a UFO, but it just seems almost unbelievable. But I'm curious what you think. Did you hear that a local band of dogs called the Barebone Bandits have taken over the Great Pyramid of Giza? They went up there last week and they won't let anybody come around it. They'll run down on the stone steps and they'll bite you on your ankles, your arm, whatever they can get to. A few people have been injured by it. And now scientists and philosophers are saying, why are they there? Is this a sign that's been written in ancient texts about a prophecy that's going to come to pass? Or is this just random? They're trying to get the world's best dog catcher. His name is Jeffrey O'Neill. He's from Phoenix, Arizona, but he said, I don't want to fly all the way over there. And so a lot of people are donating more money to try to get him to go because they're like, we want touristers to come to the pyramids, but right now no one wants to go with these dogs on it. I'm curious though, if you were in charge of getting rid of these dogs, what would you do to get rid of them? Or would you just let them be up there?
Iranian state-run TV channel has released more AI slop showing what they say happened during the rescue mission for the F-15 crew member. Let's take a look at this. First, it shows this C-130 trying to land on a wet runway, skidding side to side. It eventually does land, the soldiers get out, but then another C-130 shows up. This one gets shot, it loses, it looks like engine number 2, and then semi-crash lands near the other C-130. The soldiers still get out though, and then we'll fast forward a little bit here, where it shows a Black Hawk being shot down by a single round from a sniper. It eventually ends with the soldiers trying to evacuate on a C-130, and then an F-22/F-35 mashup thing bombing the planes.
This is the power of your mind they don't want you to know about. So they're in a room with no wind, I presume. Look at the piece of paper. Is that why they put fluoride in the water, clog our pineal glands? Because we were capable of stuff like this and so much more. Let me know what you think. Stay weird.
Whoa. There's a whole class of
This man got 325 years in prison. He will never be a free man again. This is James Michael Doss. He is 67. He is from Coleman County, Alabama, and he was sentenced to 325 years in prison by Judge Emily Nizer Johnston, which great job, Judge, for crimes against children, specifically his own grandchildren. So earlier this year, Doss entered a blind plea. No deal, no negotiation, no guarantees, just guilty on 12 charges, including first-degree sodomy, production of CSAM, essay of a child under 12, and multiple counts of possession of CSAM. Investigators say that the abuse spanned years. And according to the DA, Doss had no remorse. He would reoffend if given the chance, which thanks to the judge, he doesn't get that chance. But let me step out of reporting for a second. I hate these stories. I hate them in a way that's hard to even put into words. I am a father to a young daughter, and legit, there are more of these cases than I could ever begin to cover. They keep coming every single day. Different names, different places, same kind of evil. I will never understand how someone can look at a child, especially a child that's related to them, and do something like this. This type of deviance is something deeper, something broken in a way that doesn't make sense. It is just, I don't know, evil and demented. And yes, 325 years is exactly what he deserves. And my hope is that every single day of that sentence feels like the weight of what he did, and that the other prisoners never allow him to forget it. But the part that bothers me is that this outcome is not the norm. You all know this. Most cases like this don't end with sentences like this. Too many end in plea deals that shave off years, even decades, from consequences. And that's why I keep talking about them. That's why I keep sharing these cases, even when I don't want to. And if you're someone who's angry and tired of it too, this is where you actually do something. The first thing you can do, follow this page so these stories don't disappear. Second, sign the petition to end easy plea deals for those who harm kids. It's in my profile. And last and most important, speak up, because silence is exactly what allows this to keep happening.
Have you heard about Annie, the mysterious mystery dog who, for whatever reason, now is attracting ducks? She lives in Connecticut, and they said that ducks are coming from all over Connecticut, like flying and flocking, and especially as they return now for summer, they're going to the farm that Annie lives on, and the owner's like, we don't even know how we're going to feed or sustain this many ducks. Scientists are confused. They're beyond baffled because they said they've never seen behavior like this. They don't know if there's like an energy field that Annie is putting out that the ducks are picking up on. But I'm going out to the farm tomorrow, and I'm going to get some footage and also run some tests, and so I'll keep you updated on what we find out.
It's so weird.
I'm a conspiracy theorist, but you don't have to be one to find this strange. Before the World Wars, bells were everywhere. City centers, churches, cathedrals, and people even had them at their homes. Then the wars start, and suddenly we're told they all had to be melted down for ammunition, or cracked, or buried. If you look back through history, bells weren't just for telling time. People believed their frequencies could heal, ward off storms, and even protect against dark energies like demons. And now with everything coming out in the Epstein files and it becoming apparent evil runs the world, it makes you wonder why they really got rid of the bells. Because again, we're told it was for ammunition for the wars. Maybe that's true, or maybe bells have a deeper purpose and they don't want us to have them. But what do I know? I'm just a conspiracy theorist. Comment bell to learn more.
What really happened in 2024 at Bayside Marketplace in Miami? I want to know. I need to talk about it because no way all of these police came out for some kids that were supposedly pew-pewing. No way nobody caught anything on freaking camera, and no way there are multiple witnesses that don't even know each other saying that they saw a 10 to 12 foot tall alien humanoid being that emerged from a portal. Listen, this is another episode of Stranger Things Have Happened because I'm at the point where like I put nothing past this world anymore. If you've dove into CERN, if you've dove into like the opening of the portals by the popes, honestly, if you even went down the rabbit hole of the Vatican and how many disturbing things they have going on in the archives that we know of, right? Because it's blocked off. And you don't even have to wonder. Like, first of all, there are, I'm not even getting into it. It's too much for this video. Just know it's built on a pagan burial ground, first of all. The things that the Vatican have done are not even borderline. They are sinister. What happened to Emanuela Orlandi, that 15-year-old that went missing in Vatican City? And there's so many creepy connections with the Pope. Why are they holding the bones of old popes in there? What are they doing with it? Anyway, I say all this to say, like, this world is really insane, and you would think with the files, like, we would admit that. And why in the world is it so weird? Why is it so weird for people to think about a 10 to 12 foot tall humanoid being in the Bayside Marketplace coming from underground? We literally know as fact there are cities underground. I mean, just look at the Paris catacombs. People are still roaming that. Like, people that supposedly live there are doing rituals there. There's a lot happening underground that we don't know about and we couldn't know about. I mean, shoot, we don't even know what's going on in the water. Y'all remember when I told you about the Soviet Navy freaking finding humanoid creatures? Documented Soviet Navy encounter, literally documented humanoid creatures found. And they were powerful, and they had like weird underwater powers that shot the divers backwards with this force, this energy force. And a couple of them didn't even make it, I think, because they swam up so fast in fear that they got the bends. Stranger things have happened. I want to know if anyone knows anything, please. If there are any clips, please send them to me so we can talk about it and I can make a video on it. Because you guys wanted a part 2 and I have been digging for like days trying to find new. How are there no clips? How is there no footage? In 2024, when people are glued to their phones, something's fishy. Something was wiped. It was all wiped. I mean, hey, anyway, y'all. As always, make sure you like and follow, comment down below what you think. Yeah.
If you remember the guy who ordered the blood-soaked shoes from the dark web, just know that he's still getting shoes delivered to him. He posted this video back in July saying he couldn't talk about the dark web shoes anymore, and this was after he'd been sent a second pair that he didn't order. But then in August, he came home to a package at his door that was from the same reshipper as the other pairs. Now, this is already so scary because the previous shoes have been shipped to his P.O. box, and he did this specifically so that whoever is selling these shoes on the dark web wouldn't know where he lives. But if you remember, the very first pair of shoes he got had a tracker in the heel of the boots. What's even more horrifying is that these new pair of shoes are covered in blood just like the others, but they also have maggots in them.
Ew. I didn't know they made sound.
He said that he had actually received 2 additional packages that he wasn't expecting that were sent to his P.O. box before this, but he apparently threw them away and never made content about it in the hopes that if he just stopped playing along, whoever was doing this would leave him alone. And that clearly wouldn't be the case because that's when the third pair of blood-soaked shoes with maggots in them appeared on his doorstep. And even though he didn't need to because the maggots seemed like proof enough, he tested these ones with luminol. If you don't know what luminol is, it's a product that helps detect blood, most often used at crime scenes. And safe to say, these shoes lit up the night. What do you guys think of all of this?
So I asked ChatGPT yesterday, when was the assassination of Charlie Kirk? And to my surprise, it responded with this. There hasn't been an assassination of Charlie Kirk. As of now, he's alive, and there's no verified report of anything like that happening. If you come across a post or video claiming otherwise, it's almost certainly misinformation. Now, I closed out of this a few times and asked it the same question, and it always gave me the same answer. Now, this is interesting because I know that this assassination was a staged event, and perhaps ChatGPT is telling us the truth. Let me show you how I know. We're going to start with a holographic projector in the back of this tent that had the exact same specs, by the way, that you need to make a hologram. Look into that. And they took this down, and we can't figure out what happened to it. But this is exactly what that was. It's a holographic projector in the back of that tent. And you're going to see a few anomalies that happened during this event that don't make sense, that look like a hologram or CGI. Just like the chair going through the table. Just right through the table, just like that. Look at that right there. That doesn't look real, does it? That looks like CGI, that looks like a hologram. And then of course we have the infamous red dot that just happened to just jump right over to his neck from his shirt. Let's watch it in slow motion here. There it is, okay? Now we're gonna cover that up. Let's also go ahead and watch the F on his shirt. Gone, vanishes into thin air, and reappears right there. You could also see that the ring jumps from his wedding finger to his pinky finger right there. People that aren't sleeping or actually awake and not ignorant to what's going on in this world understand that the elites, they stamp the number 33 on everything that they do, all their staged events. That's because there's 33 degrees to Freemasonry, and they're all 33rd degree Freemasons that are deceiving humanity. That's what's been going on. For the 33-hour manhunt for the guy that supposedly assassinated Charlie Kirk, yeah. Just a striking coincidence, isn't it? Like I said, 33, the Inspector General, the highest ranking Freemasons. Watch how they put this shit in your face. There was a card game that they made in 1995 called the Illuminati Card Game of Conspiracy, and all these cards have come to fucking truth. Like I said, 1995, terrorist nuke, 9/11, Pentagon, 9/11, epidemic, 2020, fucking quarantine. But this one is really interesting right here. Enough is enough. At any time, any place, our snipers can drop you. Look at the thumbnail. At the time of this event, this was the last short on his YouTube. Look at the thumbnail. And then look at the title. Enough is enough. They're laughing at you guys. You're stupid. If you're aware that everything is a planned and staged event and that the elites are attacking us mind, body, and soul, that's why I take Chalk's hot water purified Shilajit every single day so I can get the proper minerals in my body so I can detox from all the poisons that they're poisoning us with. I have incredible lifetime discounts for you guys, so comment the word info and check your DMs. Peace and
At some point, people are going to have to realize, like, it ain't made up. That's, it's abomination to God. Repent. Kingdom of God is at hand.
Guys, this is your day 10 update, and this is the last one. The crew is strapped in, re-entry starts in just a few hours, and tonight they come home. So the crew woke up for the last time in space this morning, and right now they are strapped in and they're configuring Orion for re-entry. Every single piece of equipment is now locked down, seats are installed, and they've been going over re-entry checklist all afternoon. Here is exactly what tonight is going to look like. At 7:33 p.m. Eastern, the service module is going to separate and burn up behind them. At 7:53, the capsule is going to hit the atmosphere and the plasma blackout is going to begin. This is going to be 6 minutes where mission control hears absolutely nothing.
It will take on extreme heat as it travels up to 25,000 miles per hour. Their safe return largely depends on the heat shield located at the bottom of the spacecraft.
Then at 8:03, the first parachutes are going to fire. Then 8:04, the 3 main parachutes are going to open. And then at around 8:07 p.m., they're going to splash down in the Pacific Ocean off the coast of San Diego. The entire re-entry actually only takes about 13 minutes, and I'm going to be going live in a few hours so that we can watch the entire thing together. 10 days ago, we got to watch the Artemis crew leave the Earth, and tonight we are about to watch them land back home. Just make sure that you go ahead and add me now, because I will be live in a few hours, and we are going to watch every single second of it.
Hold on a second. Are you aware of the speed that the Artemis 2 and other space shuttles need to reach in order to get into lower Earth orbit? You may not believe this, I didn't at first, but listen to the official numbers. According to NASA and space agencies, spaceships must reach 17,500 miles an hour to completely escape Earth's gravity. Then they need to hit 25,000 miles an hour to fully get up there. Now hold on a second, 17,000 and 25,000 miles an hour. Right here, we can safely assume that this is not going anywhere close to that, right? Now, do you know how fast a bullet travels, which you definitely cannot see? 2,700 miles an hour on average. That's from a rifle, depending on the cartridge. Now, do you honestly believe this spaceship, quote unquote, is going to, once it's completely out of your view, reach speeds of 25,000 miles an hour. Because that's what they say, and if that was going, you can picture it, 25,000 miles an hour would be, you wouldn't even see it. But apparently it gets its velocity up and absolutely takes off. Meanwhile, the Dorito-shaped aircraft that are known to be some of the fastest in the world don't get anywhere close to that. Now, if they're hiding this from us and deceiving us, can you imagine what else is going on with other areas of our society? Namely the food, air, and water supply, and the air supply being potentially polluted with heavy metals, but of course that's not coming from any planes. If you think it's important to detox this stuff out of you and boost your vitality and decalcify your pineal gland, right now Chalk is giving away free $100 bags of the organic heirloom cacao from Bolivia, the Chalk Lid Powder, which is super detoxifying and delicious. Plus, if you combine that with the hot water purified shilajit, you're getting some of the most powerful adaptogens in the natural world. Comment free below and check your DMs for details.
Indianapolis city councilor who was given 13 reasons why through his front door and then had the audacity to come on TV and be like, we don't need to make violence like this a regular thing. Sir, we don't need people in power not serving and protecting the people they were elected to serve and protect. And no one was injured, but now they have the FBI out here announcing publicly this was a targeted attack. We're not stupid. We know this was a targeted attack. This man knows it was a targeted attack because he was doing everything but listen to an entire city full of people saying, we don't want a data center. This one counselor was basically out there marketing for this data center. Sir, how much were these people paying you to work this hard to literally ignore everyone? The way that they now have police and FBI scouring his property, trying to look for all 13 reasons citizens in Indianapolis gave him to listen to them. The way that they're not making it official what the motive was, but these people quite literally left their calling card at this counselor's front door saying no data center. However much they paid you, sir, you just need to give that check right on back because I don't know how the people in your area could be any clearer. Let's hope all these other towns and cities who are fighting the exact same fight against these data centers, I hope their city councilors listen better than this man did.
It's real NPCs in the world, dog. This nigga is dead ass not here. Look at this shit. What? I'm at Walmart, bro. I swear I'm at Walmart in the parking lot. It's not AI. Bro, this nigga is not real.
For real?
He's dead ass, nigga. He's not asleep.
What?
What the fuck? Yo, nigga, what is this? What the fuck, nigga?
It's over. You seen it for yourself, guys. NPCs are driving now. You better look both ways before you cross. Shut up! People are saying, somebody said this. What if it's the NPCs that's causing these collisions in the streets when stuff happens? Right? You ever thought of that? Now, what really sucks about this, guys, is that we're already dealing with NPC people, which means they're not real. Not only that, we're dealing with real people that aren't real either. Stop playing with me, son. This video is for entertainment purpose only. I don't know what the hell is going on there, guys, but I'm going to be honest with you. That guy did not look real at all. Shut up! He's probably the one that's causing traffic. Yeah. This is what people are saying, guys. Like I said, I'm just joking around. Stop playing with me, son. It's not a game I ain't got you. You know what it is. Shut up! But I tell you one thing. If I'm ever walking through the streets or sitting in my car and I see somebody sitting in the car.
That's insane. We're so much more powerful than we've been led to believe. The powers that be don't want us tapped into all this energy. Y'all tell me how he's doing this right now. He just starts to float. How? And before y'all say he did it with the pole, check this out. There's no way he's supporting his whole body weight just with that pole. And look how quick he's moving that pole. There's no way. They don't want us knowing we can do stuff like this, y'all. The more advanced we become, the less tapped in we are with this kind of stuff. But let me know what y'all think. Is this camera trickery, or are they really doing these things? As always, thanks for watching. Stay weird.
So it's February 2024, and baby Charles, who's just a day old, is scheduled to undergo a circumcision by the doctor who had just delivered him, Dr. Hong An Jan. But instead of the doctor giving the baby xylocaine, which is an anesthetic, He injected baby Charles with Demerol, which is a synthetic opioid. After the procedure, Charles was given back to his parents, who immediately questioned what was wrong with Charles, but the doctor told him he was fine, the medicine just needed to wear off. So mom and dad end up taking baby Charles home, but call the doctor later that day because they knew something was wrong. But again, Dr. Jan assures them everything is fine, medicine just needs to wear off. Eventually, mom and dad become so concerned, they say screw it and drive the baby to Dr. Jan's clinic. Dr. Jan takes a look at the baby and says the same damn thing. He's fine, medicine just needs to wear off. So reluctantly, mom and dad go home, they put baby Charles down for the night, and when they go to check on him at 3 a.m., he's cold to the touch. They rush him to the emergency room where he is pronounced dead an hour later. So the hospital runs toxicology, which is how they found out the baby was given this massive dose of Demerol. There was no anesthetic in his system whatsoever. Dr. Jan is being charged with involuntary manslaughter and has pleaded not guilty. His medical license has also been suspended pending the investigation.
YouTube has deleted 800 anti-Israel videos, as Trump is moving forward with labeling anti-Israel speech as hate speech. Meaning if you criticize Israel, this is classified as hate speech, which is a felony. 800 videos documenting Israeli war crimes in Gaza has been wiped off of YouTube due to the Israeli government's request to crack down on anti-Semitism on the platform. Trump is now working even more behind the scenes to send Americans to prison for hate speech felonies. Trump is already deporting people for speaking out against Israel, but people that are born in America cannot be deported. So they're now going to label this as hate speech, allowing born Americans to instead be placed in a prison for a felony. This would put Americans in jail for 5 to 8 years, all because of the criticism of a foreign government. We're also working with Meta and Amazon. And by the way, a federal judge has already ruled that anti-Israel speech is hate speech. Meaning if Trump follows this judge's ruling, we could go to jail for criticizing Israel.
Do not eat these chicken nuggets if you bought them from Walmart. These dino nuggets have been flagged as unsafe levels of lead in them. What? If you have a batch of the best by date February the 10th, 2027, and this is the code or the number on the bag, you need to get rid of them. And just so you can see right here, this is what it pretty much looks like. First, we had radioactive shrimp from Walmart, and now we have lead dino nuggies. I'm sorry, but I really am getting to the point where I don't want to buy anything else from Walmart because of this. I should not be concerned about lead in dino nuggies. I have kids. I have a 3-year-old that loves chicken nuggets. I'm definitely not buying this. I'd rather go to Costco or go to Publix or so many other stores now than Walmart. But yeah, if you think I'm joking, go look up, do the research. Yeah, literally lead. Literally unsafe levels of lead. If you have this exact code right here, like, it's ridiculous. Like, Walmart, you really need to get your act together. Because, I mean, you were like $1 billion corporation. And I don't understand how they could just let this happen. And I understand you could say, oh, it's a third. No, this is great value, the Walmart brand. Well, let me know in the comments down below. Did you buy any of these nuggies in that specific time?
It's been over 24 hours since a U.S. fighter jet has been shot down over Iran and the pilot presumably captured, and the United States government hasn't made any kind of statement about it. The United States and Israel has been in an illegal war with Iran for a little bit over a month now, and it's escalating. It's looking like there's going to be boots on the ground within the next couple of weeks at most. And Iran is actually giving America a run for its money by being able to fire their advanced weaponry out of the sky. Yesterday, an image of a presumed crash site in Iran was posted all over social media. You could see the ejector seat of the flight that was supposedly shot down. Also, a pilot was rescued by the United States, but one of them is still there, right? Again, presumably a POW. Now, we don't know why they haven't commented on it yet, but it's probably one of two reasons. Number one is today there are speculations that Donald Trump might not be feeling well physically and that he might be in some kind of medical facility, right? Again, as of right now, those are just rumors. But it also could be the fact that the United States government is just really embarrassed, right? Like they just don't want to issue a statement because it's going to make it obvious that the war isn't going the way that they want it to. Either way, it's really disrespectful to the guy's family to not acknowledge that he's missing. You know, maybe the family knows about it, right? But the American people need to know about it too. After all, we're the ones that are fighting in this war. But yeah, it's a little risky to criticize a war on this platform. It's owned by Trump.
This is now the backbone of the American economy, and this is the guy who runs it, and it's not good. OnlyFans is by far the most profitable company in America. The company generates $156 million per employee. Compare that with all these other companies that we think of as powerhouses like NVIDIA, the chip maker, or Alphabet, Google, Walt Disney, Walmart. It's not even close. And so just think about the implications. What happens to society when we have an economy built off of getting normal people to do and consume adult content? Well, first we get mass loneliness, where men are dropping thousands of dollars on OnlyFans to just feel some kind of human connection with women. And on the other side, the girls are getting their soul sucked out of them. This particular creator says that she feels dead inside, doesn't feel any attraction to men anymore. Yeah, men and women don't want to have actual intimacy anymore. Look at the numbers. Only 37% of adults are having sex weekly or more, compared to 55% in 1990. In fact, the lack of social connection is more deadly than smoking 15 cigarettes a day, or drinking, or not working out, being obese, and much, much worse than air pollution. And just to top it all off, the #1 donor of AIPAC is the CEO of OnlyFans. Okay, Leonid Radvinsky, the billionaire owner of OnlyFans, according to internal documents, he and his wife pledged $11 million to AIPAC, the most of anyone listed.
I mean, is Iran a bigger threat, or is OnlyFans?
That is a great question, Tucker. You guys let me know what you
Y'all, there's been a huge update in this case. So this is 12-year-old Eve Rogers from Enfield, Connecticut. And on Wednesday, March 18th, her mother found her deceased in her bedroom. The Enfield Police Department responded to the 911 call at 10:25 in the morning. Her mom, Melanie, told them that she had gone into her room to wake her up and quickly noticed that something was very, very wrong. So that same day, the Enfield Police, along with the Connecticut State Police Major Crimes Unit, spent over 12 hours processing the scene and collecting things that they thought might be relevant to the case. It hasn't been determined if she died as a result of a crime because the autopsy is still pending, so the medical examiner doesn't have a cause for her death yet, but the police department announced today, April 3rd, that her stepfather was arrested. This is him. His name's Anthony Federline. He's 39 years old, and the press release says that he's being charged with sexual assault and risk of injury to a child, and he's being held on a $1 million bond. Now, unfortunately, the police haven't released any other information, like if it was on Eve or a different child. People in the community are saying that he's apparently a bus driver for the school district, so it could have possibly involved one of the children he drives. But I want it to be known that in September of 2022, so pretty much right after she started 4th grade, her mom decided to pull her out and do homeschooling. And apparently there are other kids, but she's the only one that got pulled out. So of course there's been a lot of speculation going around, like maybe she was the victim of bullying, or, completely different, maybe the stepfather wanted her to be home more. Now, backtracking a little bit, last week her mom Melanie made a statement on Facebook, and it says, "Now that we've had a minute to gather my thoughts, I feel like I need to say some things clearly. I've seen people trying to connect Evie being homeschooled to the idea that the school system failed her. That is not true. The Enfield Public Schools showed up for her in every way they could. Homeschooling was not a result of failure. It was a decision made for her individual needs. The Enfield Public Schools have been nothing short of incredible. They showed up for her when she was there, and they continue to show up for our other children in ways that truly matter. And homeschooling did not fail her either. What happened has nothing to do with that. If anything, the only place there may have been a gap is within the medical system. She had appointments scheduled with specialists that were still months away. Maybe something would have been caught, maybe it wouldn't have. The truth is, we still don't know exactly what happened. We are still waiting for answers. But what we do know is that whatever happened was something within her, and that is the only truth we have right now. And I don't want her story to be turned into something it wasn't. Now, personally, I don't really know what to make of that, but as you can see, the mom's implying that there was some sort of medical issue. There's a lot of unanswered questions, but I'll be sure to let you guys know what happens with the investigation.
If you're not on Mount Everest tour guide scam talk, you have got to hear this. So this all started when police in Nepal noticed a huge spike of climbers needing to be rescued by helicopter off Mount Everest between 2022 and 2025. In fact, nearly 5,000 climbers had to be rescued off the mountain. Come to find out, 32 tour guides were being paid by local hospitals to make the climbers they were supposed to be guiding up Everest sick and need to be rescued. Some guides would wait for their climbers to get a mild case of altitude sickness and would give them the medicine to treat it, but encourage them to drink tons of water, which apparently makes the symptoms 100 times worse. Other guides would mix baking powder into their climbers' food with the sole purpose of making them so sick they can't walk down the mountain on their own and need helicopter rescue. It's estimated local hospitals took in more than $20 million in insurance money and would target climbers from the UK and Australia because apparently it's easy to pull over scams on their insurance companies. And I'm sure you can imagine, but people spend up to $100,000 to climb Everest. You need permits, guides, accommodations. It's not cheap. Not to mention, people spend years preparing for this once-in-a-lifetime climb, and then to be poisoned by the guide you paid to take you is insane.
All of this is now owned by one single family, the Ellisons. This is billionaire Larry Ellison, and this is his son David, and they've been on an absolute spending frenzy. First, they took over CBS Paramount in 2024 on behalf of Israel. Then last year, Larry Ellison bought TikTok, also on behalf of Israel. And now the Ellisons are taking over Warner Brothers for $111 billion. Keep in mind that Larry Ellison is the largest single private donor to the IDF, and he just so happens to be very close friends with Netanyahu. They wouldn't be trying to run some kind of psychological operation on us, would they?
Why can't Israel be doing some sort of, counterintelligence, information warfare like this, where they are actually doing the same type of, psychological operations in America?
All of this comes as, for the first time in American history, American support for Palestinians is greater than that of Israel. Probably all just...
I just gained over 150,000 followers in one single night from a single live stream, and I need to tell you what happened. So last night, we just streamed the entire Artemis 2 rocket launch on TikTok so that we could all watch it together, and I genuinely did not expect what was about to happen. At one single point, we had over 100,000 people in the stream all at the exact same time. You couldn't even read the chat. Whenever the stream ended, we had a total of 1.2 million people that were all sitting there watching it together. We were literally watching a rocket go to the moon. This officially just turned into one of the most insane nights I have ever been able to experience on social media. Guys, the part that is genuinely crazy to me is at one point I realized I had grown over 150,000 followers from that stream. I am going to be covering every single Artemis mission every single day for the next 9 days until the crew gets back. If you're somebody that is not following me yet, this is going to be one of the coolest series that we have ever done. Millions of us just watched a rocket launch together, and you need to stay updated until they get...
There have been some crazy things that we have found in the Epstein files, but this right here might be the darkest. This is from a limo driver who had met Trump in the 1990s, and he alleges that Donald Trump raped a young girl along with Jeffrey Epstein. The victim was then encouraged to go to the police, to which she replied, quote, "I can't because they will kill me." The victim did eventually report it to the police, but she was found a while later with her, quote, "head blown off," and the police officers on scene stated that there was no way it was a suicide, even though the coroner ruled it as such. Like, what the actual hell is going on here, and why are we not doing anything about it? Okay, we gotta let these guys know that this does not end until people, these gross, disgusting people, all go to jail.
Trump is scrambling to get Ukraine and Russia to a ceasefire on Tuesday because Ukraine is facing a loss of the country. Russia is dangerously close to securing the 4 regions. And after they secure these, what can Ukraine offer at that point? For 4 years, Russia's been asking for that red line. And in 4 different locations, they've already passed it. Trump's telling Zelensky, if you don't accept this deal now, you're going to have to give up more in the future because you're losing these regions. This is the furthest Russia's extended the front lines this war. And Ukraine cannot keep up. The Kharkiv region in the red could be seriously threatened. Because once Russia wraps up this in the south, they will focus all of their effort on Ukraine's second largest city. And Russia could attack it for multiple ways, which then again would push Ukraine to give up even more land for peace. If Ukraine does not give up these 4 regions, of which they've already fully lost this one, by the way, Russia could then focus on 3 more regions. If Ukraine doesn't give up the land in the yellow, they could risk losing the land in the red, which is half the country.
What happens when you
you start buying multiple Louis Vuitton bags, and then a Louis Vuitton agent shows up on your door demanding the bags that you bought and paid for back. Well, this is the update on the man who had this exact thing happen to him. He was buying legitimate Louis Vuitton bags, even had like authentication paperwork to prove that they were legitimate LV bags, but he was buying them at like estate sales. We're not just talking getting like discounted prices for these high-end designer bags. These weren't even really nice bags. These were really old, worn. A lot of them had defects, tears, holes in them, turning them into wallets. He was a leather maker. He even shared how he would take these designer bags that was destroyed, and instead of throwing them away, he would upcycle the material to make things like wallets. Well, Louis Vuitton found out. They ordered one of his wallets, and then they said he was using fake products. That's right, the purses he was upcycling, they were saying those were not authentic purses. Louis Vuitton then paid an agent to go out to this man's personal property and demand all of their bags and fake bags back. He refused. He knew his rights. He knew he could upcycle whatever. If you buy a bag, that is your property. You can do whatever you want with it. What he couldn't legally do was buy a fake Louis Vuitton bag and then try to sell it as if it were the real deal, which he wasn't doing. Even though he proved it that they were real Louis Vuitton bags, told them that he had every right and knew that he had every right to do whatever he wanted with them once they were his, they still threatened him with legal action and demanded all of these bags and their leather back. And what happened next is probably the most satisfying thing. Louis Vuitton had even hired the head of like their fraud and like knockoff department as an CIA, FBI agent to intimidate people like this leather maker into not doing what he legally can do and has every right to do, which is upcycling, recycling, repurposing, whatever you name it, to items he legally owned. To this day, he is still making the upcycled Louis Vuitton wallets. He is still a leather maker. He still offers these wallets. Thanks to all this, he's now added a piece of wall art from Louis Vuitton themselves. That's right, the paper they sent to bully, threaten, and take the products he rightfully owns from him, he now has framed hanging up on his shop wall. You want to check him out.
Breaking news, we have the remains of what appears to be a Chinook helicopter that was hit at the airbase in Kuwait. Obviously, this is a United States military helicopter. This is an Army helicopter specifically. I believe it's the CH-47. And clearly it is probably going to be unable to fly ever again, unfortunately, due to this war. It does appear to have an oil leak. So, I mean, I guess if they fix that oil leak, it still won't be able to fly. Poor helicopter. But as you can see, it does say United States Army on the side of it. And it is one of the helicopters that typically spins two rotor blades. I mean, it has to spin both of them, I think, or it'll crash. And at least the front one looks like it's probably not going to be able to spin right. You can tell because if you look closely, this blade right here is bent.
The U.S. Army CH-47 Chinook was badly damaged, essentially destroyed, after an Iranian drone strike at Camp Beering in Kuwait. The pictures we have of this helicopter show essentially the entire cockpit section missing. It was moved into this hangar at some point, but initially it was out in the open when it was hit. I don't think this is being repaired anytime soon.
Everest climbers are being given baking soda to make them sick. On purpose, because when you look ill on Everest, you need a helicopter rescue. So guides have been putting baking soda into people's food and drinks, way too much of it. That makes people get tummy issues, and it makes it look a bit like altitude sickness. A helicopter rescue costs thousands, and it gets billed straight to the person's travel insurance. They then get sent to a hospital. The hospital gets a payout from the travel insurance. The guides, the helicopter people, are all taking a cut. This has been known since 2018, but nothing's been done about it until January of this year, 2026. It's been reported by the Kathmandu Post. It was reported back in 2018. No one did anything. And we're talking over $20 million worth of insurance claims here. And hundreds of fake rescues. Absolutely fucking insane. But that's Everest for you, isn't it?
The FBI is now suing Americans for making jokes about Kash Patel's girlfriend being a Mossad agent. Elijah Schaffer, one of the biggest political voices in America, is being sued by the U.S. government for posting anti-Israel rhetoric accusing Israel of controlling the United States and their politicians, citing this one: Israel has more control over the U.S. than we do over them. And he's being sued for $5 million from X posts. And it all revolves around FBI director's 20-year-old girlfriend, who's making a lot of videos about Iran attacking Israel. We must defend them. By the way, her boss at PragerU is a member of the Israeli Defense Forces Military Intelligence Unit, the same one that spreads propaganda online. That's literally Unit 8200. Now they're trying to get this guy to shut down his company over anti-Israel rhetoric. There's also many more influencers that are being sued by the U.S. government over criticizing a foreign country. Repost to spread the word, follow for the newest update.
This is one of the creepiest things that has happened to me, and I have video evidence. It's Scary Saturday. We're girly and we're weird, so if you like that kind of content, you'll like it. Here, grab your lip gloss and let's spiral. Don't forget to follow for more content like this. Now let's get into reading today's true story. When I was about 8 years old, I was taking my dog for a walk through the neighborhood with my mom. It was maybe around 11 p.m. We live near a swampy, woody area on the edge of our neighborhood in Lansing, Michigan. I remember it being very quiet and slightly windy. From down in the swamp, we heard somebody whistling at us. It sounded like a bird, but each whistle was different enough where the lack of consistency made it human. The whistle sounded higher than lower. I can't really describe it. My mom had a concerned, slightly terrified look on her face and grabbed my hand and said that we should go inside quickly. I didn't understand because I was too young, but seeing my mom freak out like this made me freak out too. And after a while, I forgot about it. 2 years later, taking my dog out again late at night. There was a large bush that could easily obscure a person behind it just next to the front door. As I was finishing the walk, the whistling noise started again. Same pitches, same inconsistent human-like tones. As soon as I heard it, a chill went down my spine as I remember the exact feeling of seeing my mom, terrified, looking down at the swamp, at something I couldn't see, and maybe she couldn't either. I ran inside as fast as possible. Years went by and I thought about it less and less. I told only a handful of people and eventually it slipped from my mind. Fast forward to last summer. I'm 24, started dating a girl named Sarah. We moved out to South Dakota for work. For Independence Day, we decided to go to Pierre, South Dakota and watch the fireworks along the bank of the Missouri River. There was a free camping spot behind a hospital where you could pitch your tent, hang out, and see fireworks above the river. As it was getting dark, the fireworks began. They were pretty far away, so the illumination they brought was very little. We had to sit right at the edge of the river to be able to see them. A huge thunderhead was moving in and a storm was imminent, so the air seemed electric and the wind was picking up. The atmosphere was eerie, to say the least. Suddenly, we heard the sound of a paddle methodically dipping into the water. We saw a figure steering a canoe a long way off the shore. Sarah decided to go get some more beers from the car, leaving me alone to stare at this mystery person. And then, of course, they whistled at me. My entire body was frozen and covered in goosebumps. It was the exact same whistler from my childhood, more than a decade earlier. I looked at the figure, but it was much too dark to discern who it could be. They were wearing a hat, and when they were perpendicular to the shore from me, they stopped paddling, turned the canoe to face directly at me, and whistled right at me. I was so frightened that I stood up and shouted at them, "Who are you?" I didn't say anything, just whistled a couple more times, turned the canoe 180 degrees, and paddled out of sight. I'm a videographer, so I already had my camera by my side and I was taking video of the fireworks. As the canoe was almost out of sight, I grabbed my camera and got a shot of them whistling as they went away. When Sarah came back from getting beer, she was very confused as to why I was so freaked out. When I explained, she was freaked out a little bit too. I was convinced that we would both be murdered that night. How did this whistling person follow me? After 14 years, all the way up to South Dakota. Was it a coincidence? Why was it the same whistling noise? Who was that person and where did they go? So many questions still unanswered. To this day, I'm more afraid of being outside in the dark, where I might hear that whistling again. Now here is the video that he recorded. That was all for today's story. Let me know what y'all thought about this one in the comments below, and I'll see you.
Even if you don't believe in it, you have to admit that reincarnation stories are fascinating. I know of so many of them, but this is probably my favorite because he would actually go on to meet the person he supposedly knew from his past life. And if you enjoy stories like this one, make sure to leave me a comment and follow for more. So this is James Leninger. He was born to parents Bruce and Andrea Leninger on April 10th, 1998. And right before James had his second birthday, he and his father had visited a flight museum. And this is when James's fascination with planes began, specifically aircraft that was used during World War II. But within months of that visit, Andrea recalls running into James's room upon hearing him screaming during a nightmare. It was in May of 2000 when the silence of night was broken by James screaming, "Airplane crash, plane on fire, little man can't get out." When Andrea ran into his room, she said that James was kicking and rolling around in his blankets like he was dreaming about being in a struggle. normal. And this would become a recurring thing night after night. It was around the same time that his parents began noticing him reenacting this scene with his toys. So now, his parents began to worry, and this is when they started to question him about it. James began to unravel this big story about how in his past life he had been a pilot whose airplane was shot in the engine and crashed into the water. But it wasn't just some dramatic story. He also knew details that made this whole thing unexplainable. Like the fact that his past self flew off from a boat and that his plane was shot down by the Japanese. He was even able to tell his parents the name of the boat he flew from, and he called it Natoma. Because he kept repeating that phrase, "little man can't get out," his parents would ask him who little man was, and he said James or me. When asked if he could remember anyone else, he offered the name Jack Larson. As James got older, he saw a photo of Iwo Jima and told his father, "My plane got shot down there." At the age of 11, a psychiatrist named Jim Tucker came to visit James and his family. This psychiatrist is known as one of the world's leading researchers on a scientific study of reincarnation and rebirth. And after a 2-day-long interview, psychiatrist Jim Tucker realized that there is documentation proving everything that James claimed. As it turns out, back on March 3rd, 1945, James Huston, a 21-year-old U.S. Navy pilot, flew his final flight after taking off from the USS Natoma Bay, which was an aircraft carrier that was engaged in the Battle of Iwo Jima. Huston was flying with a squadron of 8 pilots, including his good friend Jack Larson, when his plane was shot down and crashed into the ocean. Young James Leninger has since gotten to meet Jack Larson, an old friend of his from a different lifetime.
So I gotta ask, if you don't believe in space, what do you think about Elon Musk and his company SpaceX? SpaceX? More like... But seriously, guys, do you really think this guy is for free speech running around the Met Gala in this jacket? What does that say? Novus Ordo Seclorum. And where have we seen that? And what does that mean? New World Order or New World Age? But if you think that was just a coincidence, I got way more stuff to show you that, well, this guy is not the most honest guy. Like, does anyone else remember that time we caught a rat running around on the outside of his rocket?
That's going to continue to burn until 8 minutes and 44 seconds into flight. So a little over 2 minutes from now, we'll hear the call out Seco. It'll then be a little under.
Did you guys catch it? Here, watch it again, but slowed down and zoomed in. Or remember that time he said he sent his electric car out to orbit Earth? But there was a little glitch. You can tell it's real because it looks so fake. You remember those words, Elon? But was he trying to tell us something here? Now, I'm not saying Elon. SpaceX is putting on a complete show. They do have some real rockets. And of course, all this was for entertainment purposes only. This is strictly my opinion. But y'all let me know what y'all think about this in the comments. Don't forget to like, follow me, and share this. And like always, God bless.
An Air Canada flight was intercepted by U.S. and Canadian fighters after a passenger was found to be flying with stolen air miles. This one's pretty interesting. On March 18th, Air Canada Flight 833 was flying from Brussels to Montreal in a 777. Everything seemed to be going as normal, but when the aircraft entered North American airspace, it was intercepted by NORAD fighters. This response was triggered after authorities discovered a passenger was traveling under a false or conflicting identity linked to stolen Air Canada points. The issue was flagged when the real account holder attempted to board a separate flight while the plane was already airborne. And because an unidentified passenger on an international flight is treated as a potential security threat, NORAD escorted the aircraft for the remainder of the flight. The 777 subsequently landed safely in Montreal, where police detained and questioned the suspect.
Not a fitness or coaching video, but NASA launched Artemis 2 a few days ago to go on a mission to the moon or to orbit the moon, and I just wanted to talk about it because I love space. First off, they have taken some of the most breathtaking pictures of the Earth I have ever seen. Like, these are ridiculous. ridiculous. Everything that has ever happened in human history happened right here. It's just crazy. But then you see pictures like this, and pictures like this, and you remember that most of space looks like this. It is black, pitch black. Space is an infinite void of basically nothing, just little particles and dust. Light can travel around the Earth a little over 7 times in 1 second, and the observable universe is 96 billion light years across. And that is just the observable universe. There is more universe out there that we just can't see yet, and most of it looks like this.
Wonder why Cadbury cream eggs only show up once a year, and why people lose their minds when they finally come back? One tiny egg packs around 26 grams of sugar. That's like dumping 6 teaspoons straight into your mouth. You don't care though, right? That white filling isn't real cream. It's mostly corn syrup, sugar, and artificial flavoring whipped into a sticky syrup. Yuck! And that rich vanilla taste? Most of it doesn't come from vanilla beans. It comes from lab-made flavor chemicals and beaver glands. The chocolate shell often uses palm oil instead of real dairy, a cheap fat that keeps candy smooth, shiny, and shelf-stable. One egg can push over 150 calories, and nobody ever eats just one. Open that mouth. They only sell them for a short season, because scarcity makes people buy entire boxes before they disappear again. So the real question isn't what's inside the egg, it's why your brain keeps craving another one.
Sometimes people think if they hear someone knocking on their car window at night, it's just someone asking for help. That's the mistake. If you're sitting in your car late at night, parking lot, street, anywhere, and someone suddenly knocks on your window, do not roll it down. Do not unlock the car. Keep your hands where they are and look straight ahead. Because people who need help don't start with the window. First, watch the knock. If the knock is slow, controlled, not frantic, not desperate, do not turn your head fully towards them. Most people look right at the person. That's how they let them know they have their attention. Second, listen to what they say. If they actually open the window but don't explain why, just, hey, open this, or I need you to unlock this. Do not respond. People who ignored this said the same thing later. The voice didn't change. No panic, no urgency, just waiting. Third, stay still. Do not start your car immediately. Do not make sudden movements. If the knocking suddenly stops, but you still feel like they're standing right there, do not look. Because when someone walks away, you hear it. You see it. But if the knocking stops and there's no footsteps, then they didn't leave. And here's where it gets worse. If someone hits your window suddenly, hard, right where your face was a second ago, because you moved slightly, do not freeze. Drive. Immediately. Because whatever is outside your car isn't trying to talk to you. It's testing how close it needs to get before you react.
We now know the full reason why chocolate is not melting. For those of you that don't know, starting earlier this year, people noticed that their chocolate wasn't melting. This goes for when they're baking cookies, specifically when they're doing s'mores. And a lot of people notice this with Hershey's, but it's actually all chocolate brands. And the reason is actually really interesting. They switched from cocoa to vegetable oil, and they did this because of the rising cost of cocoa, and they did this for you. So it's not that they're just being cheap. They actually did it so they didn't have to raise prices to their candy bars, making it still affordable for the consumer. Though people are claiming that it tastes a little bit different, and that it has a rubbery texture, which most people don't want in their chocolate, it's interesting to know the real reason why chocolate is not melting. So the next time you go to melt one of your chocolate bars and want to know why it's not melting, it's not that there's something wrong with it, it's just made with different ingredients than it was prior. So if your s'mores or your chocolate chip cookies taste a little bit different moving forward, now you know it's because of the vegetable oil ingredient and it's not true cocoa. But what do you guys think about this?
Learned quite possibly the cutest thing I've ever heard in my entire life. Do y'all know what this is? 24 hours a day, for 7 days, specifically white-spotted male pufferfish will create these geometric circles in the sand to attract a mate. They're so meticulous about these. Like, if a little piece of debris flies into their creation, he'll just fix what the debris messed up and then he'll clean it. Come on. They decorate it with shells. They're just little guys. There's another species of pufferfish called spy puffers that help the white-spotted puffers find shells to decorate their circles with. The top tier of wingmen. Look at him! He's just so thrilled to be making a pretty little nest for a pretty little lady. I love them! And let me tell you, the females are choosy. which I am in full support of. Like, if these males are going to spend their entire lives making these art pieces for your attention, you can afford to be a little choosy. You are the prize queen. The amount of dudes' apartments that I've been in that have very clearly never been cleaned, meanwhile, the male-spotted white pufferfish is...
Guys, you need to make sure that you do not miss this, because in 48 hours, the Artemis crew is going to lose all contact with Earth. And what is about to happen during that blackout has never happened before, ever in history. So happening on Monday, the Artemis crew is going to go completely behind the moon, the side that we never get to see. And whenever they do, they are going to lose all contact with Earth. They've been setting up camera lenses inside of the Orion spacecraft so that they're ready whenever the time comes. Guys, the footage, the photos, and the streams from this day are going to be absolutely insane. This is by far probably the most insane thing that they're gonna do. Make sure that if you're watching this video, you go ahead and add me right now, because I'm gonna keep you updated and post absolutely everything that they get. That way you can see it. And by the way, whenever they're on the far side of the moon with zero contact, Earth is actually gonna cross in front of the sun from their view. This will officially be a solar eclipse that nobody ever in history has ever been able to witness from that angle. Ever. Whenever those photos and the footage comes back, I'm gonna drop every single one